Welcome back, everybody. Keegan here, and in anticipation of Elden Ring coming out, we're going to reflect on some of FromSoftware's previous installments. If you haven't checked out the last video, Demon Souls Analysis, you can click up here somewhere, and today we're going to be talking about Bloodborne. A lot of people would argue that this is the best installment from FromSoftware, and I'm not going to say I disagree with any of them. This game is freaking fantastic. The combat is some of the most fun in any of the Soulsborne genre, and there isn't really much I would want to see changed. The fast-paced combat with the incentive to get back in their face and get your blood back that you lost makes for a super fun experience, to the point where I just enjoy fighting normal enemies all the time. The system was so perfect because you had to get back in the fight to get your blood back, but you could easily be tricked into overextending yourself with many enemies, and if you didn't know their patterns well enough, you would just get wrecked trying to go in for more than you could chew. I'd argue that almost every issue I really had with the mechanics would be solved by a remaking of this game on a PS5 engine using Unreal Engine 5 or something. And as it stands, when I went back to play it, it feels a little choppy, which may be due to the fact that it's capped at 30 FPS, but I'm not an expert. I just know that it isn't always the smoothest feeling when I play this game. The boss in this game I actually enjoyed fighting the most were NPC hunters. I actually wish there were more NPC hunter bosses. I felt a lot of times the large-scale bosses didn't quite fit in with the quick, tight playstyle you get in Bloodborne. The setting of this game was wonderfully creepy, and the other people you meet along the way are also super creepy, but quite intriguing. I really love this game in the fact that I didn't need to finick with equipment load, and I could basically wear whatever armor I thought looked the coolest. Style over function always. Plus, the different armors didn't generally seem to ever save me from death, with maybe the exception of the suit that made poison buildup slower, and I guess also kind of the same with Frenzy. Other than that, I felt like the armors were just style points. The weapons in this game, though, I think are the best weapons in any Souls game. They were pretty much all so good, I had a really hard time determining which ones I wanted to even be using, because they were all so viable. The fact that you could do a heavy and a light attack with them, and you could also mold them and extend them or change them in some way was just such a really cool mechanic. And the visceral attacks were just so much fun to do. As soon as you heard that sound, you really knew you were about to pack a punch. The runes also made for a fun level of customization that I wasn't really expecting to find in this game. And what everyone here will probably agree with me on is the thing that this game mastered above any other game, Souls or not, was how well connected each of the zones in this game were. There were so many alternate routes, shortcuts, hidden passages behind barrels, and they almost all seemed to be placed in the perfect areas. I would frequently get lost, and in fact, I think I still get lost when I go back and play this game. The levels are so connected that sometimes it just feels like a giant maze. There is so much I absolutely adore in this game, but like with any great thing, there's always certain things that I don't enjoy so much or just straight up annoyed me. First, because I'm not a very good gamer, the struggle at the beginning of the game of keeping blood vials stocked up was demotivating and tedious to say the least. Actually, the first time I played this game, I got so demotivated trying to get my blood vials stacked back up after dying countless times that I quit, only to return years later after I had beat another Souls game and thought, you know, I could do this game, I just need to strap in, let's go. But I didn't have that the first time I played this game, because this was actually the first one I ever picked up, and immediately got demotivated as a new player, because after you die a few times, grinding out at the beginning of those blood vials is just horrible. I think FromSoftware had learned from this, though, since every game after this has given us Estus or a gourd that refill at a bonfire or idol, respectively. I just wish a lantern could do it, too. Speaking of the lanterns, though, why the heck can't I rest at them? I can't refill anything that I need, nothing. I'm not even talking about traveling to other areas from each lantern, but instead just let me rest there to reset the world. That was one of the most annoying things, and grinding is such a nightmare because of this fact. And then, speaking of nightmares, the Nightmare Frontier, I could do with literally nothing in that zone. Literally everything in that zone has nothing that I found intriguing or fun in the way of levels and monsters. That is everything I hate in the Souls game, and they bundled it up nicely into one single zone, which I guess is nice because I can just stay away from that zone entirely. Though, name checks out, I guess. I also think that normal PvP in this game was actually pretty fun, but for some reason in the game, I couldn't really figure out how to do it, or at least it wasn't obvious when and how you could enter multiplayer. I know there were some bells that you could ring, and maybe it's because I was playing so long after it released that there wasn't many people around and nobody was around, but I would ring the bell. But sometimes I'd go to the Nightmare Frontier and I would get invaded until, of course, I killed the singing lady. And once I killed her, then they stopped invading me, which is fine, I guess. But I just wish it was something that I could turn on and off. Lastly, as everyone here I'm sure is aware, the Chalice dungeons, I think, are a great idea that was horribly executed. Dungeon crawls can be fun in the game, but these were so exhausting and repetitive, I think that by the end, everyone just wanted them to be done. I don't think that's ever a feeling you want your player base to feel, is, when is this over? Other than those few gripes I had with this game, there is no doubt in my mind that this game is indeed a masterpiece, and I would love to see another installment, especially one built specifically for the PS5, maybe on Unreal Engine 5, I don't know. Just spitballing here. Please let me know if anyone out there agrees with my feelings and experiences or not. Either way, I'd be interested to hear. Next up, I will be breaking down one of the most referenced games and one of the most well-known games out there, Dark Souls 3. Until next time, this is Keegan, signing off.